Get ready for the Terry Podcast, where real conversations meet in the middle. Now, here's your host, Terry. All right, let's get it popping. Thank you for tuning in one more time to the Terry Podcast. I had to take a break, guys. Politics it can get heavy. But tonight I decided it was a perfect time to come back. My sister Janet Jackson, my iconic sister Janet Jackson, who is a foundational Black American along with the Jackson family. She just lost her brother too, so condolences to her brother Tito and the Jackson family. But she made a comment when asked about Kamala Harris. Now, keep in mind, they want to use these entertainers for political gains. If Janet Jackson would have said, oh, I fully support Kamala, then we wouldn't be talking about this. But because Janet Jackson said the obvious, when you mention Kamala Harris as being Black, I can go research like I did when she first ran for president. She doesn't identify as Black. Nothing wrong with that. She's West Indian. But, and I'm going to phrase this properly, I deal with Black folks and I deal with the Negro. Now, here's the difference. And let me educate some people on this. The Negro does not think. The Negro is symbolic. Everything is symbolism with him. He or she. It's nothing factual. It's based upon the way I feel. Okay? It's based upon the way I feel. Nothing factual. Okay? So, the Black man is going to have an educated conversation with you based upon facts, not beliefs, not his feelings. So let me start that off by saying this. Now let me play something for you. Fair use.
President. Yeah. So we're both Indian,
yes,
but actually we're both South Indian.
Fair use.
You look like the entire one half of my family.
Okay, thank you.
You do.
I've been telling people we're related already,
Yeah.
so this is perfect. It's basically true. And so were you raised eating South Indian food?
South Indian food, lots of rice and yogurt, potato.
Okay, I don't know if y'all caught that part because many of you are going to be, I didn't hear it. She's South Indian. Nothing wrong with her being South Indian. Let me say that again. But why is it that she had to become Black to run for president? We tried that with Obama and it did not work. They really pushed that envelope that he was Black. And I want to tell Black folks something. You better realize somebody that looks like you if they don't identify with you, then that's a problem. When I first moved to New York, I lived in New York off and on for about 5 years. And I'm seeing people who look just like me, just as dark as me, or light skinned that look like, to my eye, you're Black. No, I'm not Black. I Puerto Rican. I'm not, if they're Trinidadian, if they're Jamaican, this is what I learned in New York. If they're Trinidadian, Jamaican, Kenyan, Haitian, they identify as that. They don't identify as Black. So when we talk about Black issues, notice the immigrant never says a word because what? He don't identify as Black. So the struggle of the foundational Black American to fight against slavery, who also fought for immigration to allow these Black immigrants to come in here, they don't identify with that. They throw that directly out the window. So when I said I stand by Janet Jackson, I stand by her because the clowns and notice it's always an entertainer. D.L. Hughley, hey, my brother, just like I got at Ricky Smiley, it's nothing personal. You aren't worth talking about anymore. We had the custom pastor right here in my town in Memphis. This man shook you so bad to where it showed you're worthless. You're worthless. Just like I can go research and pull something up. You, Ricky Smiley, all the other boule Negroes, you're worthless. You're worthless. I'm not worried about you responding to me because you're going to lose. You're worthless. You just like Ricky Smiley. You guys are worthless. You're bought and paid for. Just say it. Janet Jackson has every reason and right because again, black folks. They always say this: if you want to hide something from a black person, put it in a book. Go pull up. Let me see if I got this video. Kamala Harris was one of the prosecutors that tried to railroad Michael Jackson. And let me see if I got it saved. So when, you get all these people, Janet Jackson had to slip up a tongue. Janet Jackson standing on business. She said, no, I didn't. I meant what I said. And now y'all are getting into, well, Janet, she ain't going to do no show here. And I'm going to tell you what's crazy. I had a friend, he said, well, Janet Jackson, who did she marry? What do you mean, who did she marry? Janet has dated a lot of black people. Who she got a baby by? Okay. I think the guy's Arab, or he's an immigrant. He's not foundational black. He's not a foundational black American. And then I had to turn around and say to him, well, who is Kamala Harris married to? He held a phone. Okay. So I could go deeper because allegedly at the HBCUs, she was hot. But I don't want to go to that. I want to stick to her policy. See, once you go into who did Janet Jackson date, who did she marry, then I can ask the same thing about her, but we're not here about that, right? We're here about policy. So my problem is when a black person speaks about anything, you cannot have an honest opinion based upon the facts that you have in front of you. Okay? But let me play this for a second.
And cases like this can depend on the testimony.
Fair use, Brother Tariq Nasheed put this up.
In general, the child will be able to recall and recollect with some detail the incident, and that is persuasive to a jury, even if it is the only testimony that is available.
Jackson gave a wave when he was released after booking. He's scheduled for arraignment in January. That could mean...
So Janet had history with understanding who Kamala Harris is. So when she responded, she already knew who she was dealing with. I'm going to say this to black people one more time. You're going to go and continue to vote against your own self-interest. You guys keep telling me about the Republicans. I'm not a Republican. Let me go on record and say it. I'm an independent. But let me also say this. If you wake up every day feeling democratic about everything, that's a person who's locked into one way of thinking. I'm for immigration, but I'm for legal immigration. I'm for higher taxes against the people who can afford it. The people who can't, it should be with an understanding. So I'm conservative about some things, I'm liberal about some things, and I'm democratic about some things. That's called being a human being. But in the black community, you're raised to be religious and democratic. If you have a thought outside of that, it's crazy. Because you're trained. And even in this instance, I can go to my Facebook post. I want to read some of these, and I appreciate everybody who responds to these posts. But it's scary for me when I can pull up information on who. Let me make sure I get this correct. I don't want to play the audio. I want to say some of the responses. I'm not going to call the name. Lady says she's the last one that needs to speak. She's talking about Janet Jackson on anyone. Just stay silent. So Janet Jackson can't have an opinion. Okay? I'm going to go through some more. See, this is another person who commented on my post. See, this is the trickery of the devil. Janet is a Jehovah's Witness, and they do not vote anyway. So you're a Christian voting for a corrupt government system. So if she's Jehovah's Witness, she can't have a true fact-based opinion. Okay, I'm going to go to another one. A good friend of mine, I'm not going to call his name. He said, man, Janet can't say anything about Kamala. I'm not going to curse what he said. She was married to bin Laden's brother. I keep saying Kamala's married to a white man. So that doesn't hold any water. One person said, I'm not voting for Kamala because of her race. She's the only candidate worthy of voting for. Okay, I can deal with that if you say that. That person I can deal with because they kept it about a vote. I got another person saying Michael wanted to be white by bleaching his skin. What does this have to do with Janet Jackson? What does it have to do with Janet Jackson? That's the whole entire family. What Michael Jackson decided to do? Okay. All right. Another one I'm going to read. He said, black people will stop letting this thing called America distract them from their real problems. Maybe the world would wake up. Janet Jackson is our history. She's been a product of all of us. So now we turn on her. Brother made a very good point. It's easy for us to turn on each other. Again, I can't go to Cleveland and say, hey, I'm from Cleveland because I sound like Gerald Levert, as they say. Everybody in Cleveland has the right to let me know. No. He ain't from Cleveland. We don't know him. Again, where his family from. I just can't claim I'm from Cleveland. So it's really disheartening to me that black folks will not wake up from symbolism. It's the Negro versus the black man. The black man is fighting for progress, for ownership. Right now, Puffy, P. Diddy, is being convicted on everything but what they say he did. Basically, he's being convicted for being a freak. Sex trafficking, coercing rather. He has parties, freak parties. So they're going to show you all the not the Vaseline, the baby oil, freak party. Puffy's a freak. Everybody knows that. If you don't know it by now, I don't know where you've been, but Puffy's a freak. What about Hugh Hefner? What about Hugh Hefner, who is infamous for the Playboy parties, and he also had a magazine? He's known as a damn legend. So there was no domestic violence charge against Puffy. It was the same thing they did against R. Kelly. It's the Man's Act. He's transporting women from state to state. These entertainers, you ain't got to transport nobody where. They flew to Puffy's party. Even if he flew them out, these are grown adults. So if you come in and they say, we having a freak off, I was in the music business. You already know what's going down with a lot of these parties. So now all of a sudden, Puffy is a crime boss that's tied to Clive Davis, all these big labels, everything. And they don't know what he's doing. If I know, excuse me, they know. You see how crazy that sounds? Excuse me. So the same charge that they put on R. Kelly, basically, for what he did not do versus what R. Kelly actually did, they're doing the same thing with P. Diddy. Because black folks are just caught up in, oh yeah, Puffy ain't this. Get Puffy. But why aren't you talking about Epstein, who allegedly was brutally raping women in Hollywood for years? Ain't nobody stomping for that, brother. Kevin Spacey. There's a Nickelodeon documentary out about how these grown ass men was messing with these kids, and ain't nobody going to jail. See, I want justice. If you're going to convict Puffy, then start in Hollywood, start with all these rich elite people, because that's what they do. There are women who sign up, and possibly they're men, who sign up for these freak shows. So you know what's going on when you go to these parties. That's why most people say, hey, at a certain time, you got to get up out of here. If you ain't with it, go ahead and leave. So I'm going to say to my black people again, thank you guys for the interaction. But what I do want you to focus on is how to think. I tell a lot of people I sit down with, throw that degree out the window because I'm gonna ball it up. It's a piece of paper. That's showing that you're trained. That's all your degree is. You're trained to do that. But when your education comes in understanding life, and if you can't understand the system in which we live in, which is a corrupt American system, that as a black voter, you have been manipulated for years. I'll go back and say it again. Dr. King, Malcolm X, Medgar Evers, I could go on and on and on. They were killed because they were asking for power. People don't realize all of Puffy's charges came after he did what? Sued this large liquor company. Now all of a sudden, he's a tyrant. He's got to be dealt with. Hey, if you made it this far, then at least you're willing to listen. This is a Terry podcast where good conversation meets in the middle of the road. And with me, I can tell you, I don't care about your feelings. Everybody has a right to an opinion, but because you feel a certain way doesn't make it so. That's why I have to stick to the facts. Until you can tell me or show me the facts of who this candidate really is versus the lie that you were told and that you believe. That's why, again, I can sit everybody that talks. Nobody on my page is telling me about her policies because she has none. There's a famous clip, and I'm going to end it with this, where she's out there and they ask her a question about, matter of fact, let me see if I can find it. What are you going to do about what's going on with the cost of living? And she really did not answer the question as usual. This is what she always does. She never answers. Let me turn this off. Turn this volume off. I don't need the volume. She never answers a question. So when you say something to her, it's a roundabout. This was her video with Oprah. I don't think I have it. Let me see. No, that's not it. She never really says anything. Give me 1 second, guys. I definitely want to end it on this. From her interview with Oprah. So again, Kamala asked. Let me see on Oprah. Let me see if I can find it. Let me check. Give me 1 second, guys. You know, I don't have a cast and crew. So we have to take it for what it is. So the lady asked her, oh man, I don't want the 1 hour interview. Let me see. Okay, that's gone on ownership.
In state after state, including.
Okay, I can't find it, but it's an interview where she's asked, what will you do about bringing down the cost of living and inflation? And she just goes into a rant, basically. Well, thanks for asking that, and you're one of many, and such and such and such and such, and you guys. The only thing that she didn't add to it was that wicked ass lash. Thank you, and believe me, I'm sitting at the table like you. Let me make sure y'all remember something. All these politicians are rich. So while you sitting there with your broke fighting for their political gains and not understanding a vote is quid pro quo, something in exchange for my vote. I'm not voting strictly for you to do immigration, LGBTQ. Notice the union hadn't backed anybody yet, because the union is going to operate as in, what is this candidate going to do that's going to help the union? If you ain't helping the union, guess what the union gonna do? Hey, I appreciate it. They're gonna choose a candidate that best fits their agenda. What are you giving me? Black folks, you ain't getting nothing. You ain't getting nothing. Nada. You're not getting a damn thing because you don't require anything but attention. You like a cheap a cheap prostitute. All you require is attention. Thank you for tuning in. This is my time. And guys, thank you for interacting on the page. Whatever you feel, you have the right to it. Just be correct about it. Because if you're not correct, guess what? I'm going to do my research as I always do, and I'm going to put it back on you to go learn it. The Terry Terry Podcast, as always, good night, and I'm out of here. Peace.